Hey everybody, this is Aaron with Hammer Calls. Today we're going to go over on this episode how to tune a single reed duck call. Today we're going to use a Checkmate. It's our open water style call, and we just go through the basics on like where to sand, how to trim, what dog ears do, and kind of the different sounds and how the operation of the duck call works. So on this episode of tuning a single reed duck call, the parts that we typically use on basic tuning is we have usually a sanding file. We use a nail file with double grit, two different sides, a regular standard scissors, extra sharp preferably. What I do on trimming my cork reeds and stuff like that, I use a standard razor blade. Keeps a strong edge, sharp. It's basically for our single reeds we use 10 mil reeds. So that's the thickness that we use on our just a standard single reed. And then our cork material is actually a poly / cork material. So it's a little more expansion, it's got a little more give to it. I think the recovery rate's over 75%, which is good. Then on this is a barrel and our insert. Basically this is your mouthpiece on a single reed duck call. And this is the handle or insert is what we call it. Alright, now tuning a single reed duck call, how we typically do it, the first thing I do is making sure that the back side of the actual cork notch is square. So typically most of you will cut, if you're cutting them or anything, we would cut them and file them down so they're perfectly square off the back of our cork notch. We check them, we run through them, make sure they're perfectly flush. The number one thing you want to make sure is having a tight reed fit on the back side. So you don't want to have a reed that's cut funny on the back side so that creates an air gap or any kind of space. So you want to fit that tight all the way to the back. So when you take your reed or your cork material, it fits tight, everything's sealed up good. And what you want to do is you want to wet this. You want to basically chew it. Sometimes it's a little tight, you want to chew it. Sometimes you want to wet it. Basically like that. You start it, and then basically I have a little punch I use that's small enough that fits inside that wedge. Push that down tight, and then take your razor blade or a sharp object. I prefer razor blade just because it's a little bit sturdier. It doesn't have any flex. It won't cut into your actual wedge. So basically you get that tight fit there. There is a slight modification on some of these reeds. We make ours a little bit long because of the multi-calls that we have. This is just going to be our open water Checkmate, so it's going to be just a simple tune is what we're going to set up for. So we want to set, what I typically do is they're a little long, so I trim up a little bit. And then before you put this back together, we use a lubricant, basically a grease or waterproof grease that we use from Danco. We use our O-rings from them. Put that on there. You don't need very much. A little bit goes a long way. And then make sure your fit is good on your actual call itself. And you want to do it just basically a starting run on it. Do some basic quacks and possibly a chuckle or two. You don't want to get too carried away because it's not finally tuned yet, but you'll kind of feel it after you blow it on the first time. Alright, so now that we got a good fit, everything's fit together, the cork's on there, the reed's fitting tight, so we're going to start our trimming process. Now I trimmed it back a little bit. Now sometimes, depending on the call you guys have, they're all going to be a little bit different. So on our call, we tune them back a little bit because our reeds are a little long, and we basically do our standard quacks, chuckles, stuff like that, just to get a good sound file and see where we stand with the call, and then we'll trim from there. Now you can actually hear that now, it's a little long, so we got to keep trimming back a little bit. And you want to take small sections from the reed. You want to try keeping it square. It's kind of difficult sometimes. But you want to basically just trim back just a little bit. Almost like a hair, just not very much. Now right there is pretty close. It's a little bit heavy yet, but before you get too carried away, we're going to do a little dog ear on there. So it tends to thin out the end of the reed, so it's pretty close. I like to kind of blow a heavier call, so I'm going to try this out. And basically that's how you run it. Now if you want a little lighter call, If you guys don't blow quite as hard as that, we'll lighten it up just a little bit. You can kind of feel it. It'll be a little bit easier blowing call the lighter you go, but you have to be careful when you tune them that light. You will overblow the call, so you got to be careful. You kind of notice the tone difference change on that, so it's one thing you got to watch out for. But as for basic tuning of the duck call, single reed duck call, that's kind of how we roll.